you, Sally. Thank you, Jeff. And Director Photo, thank you.
Thank you, Sally. That was terrific.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion is to adjourn. All those in favor say aye. Aye.
Yeah.
Opposed? And we are adjourned at 7 PM.
I blamed you.
Okay, I'll call the special meeting of the Board of Aldermen to order on March 12th at 7 PM in the Aldermanic Chamber.
Works better if you're in the back seat.
The prayer will be offered by City Clerk Patricia Pietzu, and Alderman Tenza will lead us in the pledge to the flag.
Almighty God, we have the high honor and serious duty to manage the affairs of our beloved city. Fill us, O God, with a spirit of unity and understanding, which enables us to face our multiple problems with a serene mind, with justice and charity for all, so that any and all decisions made by us will always be for the betterment and greater happiness of all our fellow citizens. So help us, God. Amen.
And to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Would the clerk please call the roll?
Alderman O'Brien.
Present.
Alderman Gidge. Alderman Harriet Gathright.
Present.
Alderman Dowd.
Present.
Alderman Clee.
Here.
Alderman Laws.
Here.
Alderman Lopez.
Here.
Alderman Karen. Alderwoman Kelly. Alderman Jettie.
Here.
Alderwoman Malizi Gola. Alderman Tenza.
Present.
Alderman Schmidt.
Here.
Alderman Wilshire.
Here.
We have 12 members present.
Okay. Also in attendance is Corporation Counsel Steve Bolton. Tonight, we have a public hearing on Resolution 18073 amended, proposing an amendment to the city charter relative to filling vacancies on elected boards by majority vote of the remaining members of that board. Our city clerk will give us a preview of this.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So Resolution 18-073 was introduced in the board, then was sent to the Committee on Personnel and Administration for the committee to vote to see whether or not it was needed. It did come back to the board. What this is doing, this would be changing the charter relative to special elections so that it would go back to where it was prior to 2005, because what this did is there's been two charter changes. Back in January 2006, it was changed the way we filled the vacancies. And then back in November 8, 2011, it was again changed, but unfortunately it was a housekeeping error where it wasn't caught. So we did have to send back the resolution back to committee to amend it to show that language. So this public hearing is to move this forward. Once this public hearing is voted on, then the board will vote at the full meeting, and then we'll follow the proper procedures and send it to the correct agencies. And then if that all comes back, well, the board will vote on it, and it will go on to the ballot in the November 2019 election.
Thank you very much. I'm going to open the floor to testimony in favor of Resolution 18073. If you'd like to speak on this resolution, you come up to the mic, give your name and address for the record. Testimony in favor. Seeing none, I will call for testimony in opposition.
Okay, my name is Fred T-Boom, 24 Cheyenne Drive. Before I make some comments, I have a question. On page 2, it mentions the word "some qualified person." Mentioned 3 times. Would be, I guess, the appointed person. Just exactly what is some qualified person?
My understanding, or my best guess, would be that it's a person that's eligible to vote in the city of Nashua and someone that lives in the city of Nashua.
Now, why does it say that? Why does it say a registered voter in the city of Nashua?
That's the way it was approved.
I don't care how it was approved. Why
That's
does
how it was
say
approved.
Some qualified voter in the city of Nashua instead of some qualified person. I have no idea what that is. It could be a panhandler. It could be the local janitor. I don't know who it is.
Madam President.
Corporation Counsel.
Elsewhere in the city charter, it does define who is qualified to hold what offices. In most cases, for citywide office, one merely has to be a qualified voter within the city of Nashua. To hold the position of ward alderman, one must be a qualified voter within that ward. That is defined elsewhere in the charter. So the term qualified person refers back to those qualifications.
Well, then a reference should be made to that because I've never seen.
Well, when you write it, Mr.
Qualified
T-Boom, you
person.
can write it your way, but that's how it is. If you are suggesting that the Board of Aldermen make an amendment, you have every right to make that suggestion. But berating the president of this board as to why it's written one way is not helpful.
I'm not berating the president of the board. I asked a question. I'd like to hear an answer.
And you've gotten an answer.
And the answer is unsatisfactory. I think it should be a reference to the fact what a qualified person is in this language. Now as to my comments. Why was a change made in 2005? Before 2005, there used to be a tradition that a replacement in a vacancy was usually the person who ran for election and got the next highest votes. That was quite common. I recall before the Board of Education, I had run one time before 2005. I think, I forgot when, in late 1990s. And I'd come in as the next highest vote getter. And soon after that election was completed, people had been sworn in, somebody resigned. They moved out of the city. So I appeared and I said, well, I'm the next highest vote getter, so I should take the seat. Now the tradition suddenly changed. They didn't want me on that seat, not the Board of Education. And then it happened again. And that's the problem. When you have appointed members, okay, they become a favorite of the board, but not necessarily a favorite of the electorate. Example I gave are real examples. And that's why this shouldn't change. Now, you can argue the Board of Public Works is not all that important. In fact, there was a ballot question to get rid of the Board of Public Works, and that it did not succeed, but got a lot of votes to get rid of that board. The Board of Fire Commissioners, nobody quite knows what they do, other than approve salaries of the chief. With the Board of Education, the Board of Aldermen are an important board. Board of Education got to spend more than half the money of the budget. The Board of Aldermen you're sitting on. So that should not change. The fact that there may be an expense involved, I just got through the election myself. I lost. I'm not sitting here complaining, I lost. I can complain about how it happened, but I'm not here complaining about why I lost. You have an election, the electorate votes. And this is an important board, Board of Aldermen. And the Board of Education is an important board. So if anything, those two boards should not have appointed members. I'll give you another board. There's many other boards that aren't even on this paper. Cable Television Advisory Board, Board of Assessors, many boards that aren't even in the question. And I'm not sure anybody really cares whether they're appointed or elected. But the Board of Education, the Board of Aldermen, it's very important. There's another board that's not mentioned here at all, the Board of Police Commissioners. And the Board of Police Commissioners used to be elected or appointed, I forgot which, but they were not appointed by the governor. Why are they appointed by the governor? Because sometime, maybe 50 years ago, there was serious corruption in the city of Nashua, very serious corruption. And it finally led to an uproar. Many things happened. One of the things happened is the governor allowed, in the state law, to appoint the commissioners of the Board of Police Commissioners. There's supposed to be a question, I've not researched that lately, that question is supposed to come back before the voters. Do you want the governor to appoint the police commissioners? Or do you want the voters of Nashua to elect the police commissioners? And I haven't seen that question on the ballot. I'm going to research it. But the police commissioners is not on this list either. And that's an important function. So for all these reasons, I'm opposed. And I should say, many should be opposed. I have one further question. When this appears on the ballot, will the city publish pro and con arguments? This is required under the charter. You have a question? You have an answer?
I don't. This is public comment.
No, this is not public comment, this is a public hearing. That's a question. Are you going to publish pro and con arguments?
I don't believe that's required under state law. If it's required, it will be done.
It's required under the charter, Mr. Attorney.
Charter has been superseded by state law, which preempts the field, Mr. T-Boom.
I'm not aware the state law preempted that provision in the charter.
There are
Which
many
talks
things
about
I'm sure
local-
of which you are not aware, sir.
Which is local charter questions.
The amendment of local charters is fully covered by state law.
I understand that. I'd like to answer the question of pro and con. If you don't answer here, Madam Chair,
I have given you your
Research.
answer, Mr. T-Boom.
You've got your answer, Mr. T-Bone.
you're not going to publish pro and con
I
answers?
didn't say that. I said if state law requires it, it will be done.
Well, then research it.
Anyone else giving testimony in opposition to Resolution 18073?
Good evening, my name is Paula Johnson. I still reside here in Nashua. I'm speaking in opposition of this. Alderman Wilshire, Attorney Bolton, you were on the board back when we had R-04216 come before us. I believe it was then Alderman LaRose. And the reason he had this legislation come before us was because of the vacancies when somebody stepped down, like from school board or any of the other boards, because he felt it was not fair that somebody could just come in with a resume versus the next highest vote getter. So this came about. Then there was one that Alderman Lozo, this one was R-04126. It was the opposing of that First Amendment that would require the next highest vote getter to come and get that position, which would be fair, the next highest vote getter, because that would be the person who ran, worked, and he missed it because somebody in front of him got the votes. And it was David Lozo. You remember him, David Lozo. His wife used to be the mayor also. And he was a very good alderman. We all worked very well with David Lozo. And I was one of the co-sponsors, so was Alderman Dean back there and Alderman Dion, because we felt that rather than having an expensive election, which we know it costs a lot of money for these special elections, it would be easier if the next highest vote getter was the one that would be able to take the position. Do you remember that, Attorney Bolton?
Remember it well.
Yeah, I know you have a very good memory. So, and that's one of the reasons why we wrote that resolution. I don't think that somebody who didn't put their name on the ballot, knock, Facebook, Twitter, or anything else, should waltz right in, that nobody knows anything about it, that the voters in the city should be able to really take a seat. You should be able to go, if you want this seat, go out and do what you have to do for an election. Let the voters see what you represent and who you are to be out there. Because my other concern is that you're picking when you call up, you say, hey, we got an open position. Why don't you put your name in? I'll put a good word in for you. It's like a job. It's not a job here. This is talking about the taxpayers, the money, and what it costs in the city. And if you want this, go out and knock on the doors and do what you have to do to become an elected official. And I don't watch this very often anymore because I just get sick and tired of seeing how my money is being spent. But I want to say something to you, Corporation Counsel Bolton. I don't care if you like what Mr. T-Boom says or not. There's no room for rudeness, and you get paid without salary. And don't even answer me back because I'm not going to tolerate this. You were wrong, and you owe him an apology. We are don't even say anything. We are the taxpayers of the city, and we have the right to ask these questions, and don't be rude on an answer back. Thank you.
Anyone else wanting to give testimony in opposition?
My name is John Lyle, 68 Bluestone Drive, Nashua. I'm the moderator of Ward 8 and have been for the last 6 years. I'm speaking in opposition to this proposal for two reasons. One, I believe that it's effectively cronyism on steroids. because you have an elected board picking the person who is going to replace for a vacancy. We've had three special elections in the last 4 years now, all of which have had minimal turnout. They've been expensive to hold. They are extremely wasteful of the resources that we have in our city. So I believe neither the existing proposal that you have in front of you, nor the existing plan or process that we have are effective. I feel sort of the grandfather of this particular proposal because after the special election to replace a Board of Education person last year, I wrote a letter to the editor of the Telegraph and got a lot of positive response. To my proposal. I also had negative response from Mr. T-Boom because the proposal that I came with reflected, he felt a degree of cronyism. I believe the proposal that I have put forward for the replacement of a vacancy minimizes the cronyism and saves the city significant money and gets a new person in place in a timely fashion. Now, I have delivered to the board a detailed testimony on this that I'm willing to take questions on.
Seeing none?
Okay?
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to give testimony in opposition to Resolution 18073?
Hi, my name is Timothy Sennett, resident of Nashua, 62 Underhill Street. Hope you'll forgive me for not stepping forward. This is actually my first public hearing, and I wasn't quite sure where my comments were appropriate. So I'm in favor of reevaluating the method in which we fill vacancies on the elected boards. I don't feel it necessarily needs to be a matter of either or. Either we hold a special election or the board appoints somebody. The indecisive side of me says that there's a method that fulfills both. I think back to the election that we just held last week to fill the unfinished term of Alderman McCarthy. By the time we were able to hold that election this past week, Alderman Clemens is likely already thinking about re-election should he choose to serve further. He's already gone through the process to get his name on the ballot, and he's going to do so again, presumably this summer. For such a short period of time, I feel like that might be a situation where the board may be able to step in and appoint somebody to fill that role. For something last year, where Robert Hallowell stepped down from the Board of Education, he gave us plenty of notice. He had 2 years of an unfinished 4-year term. In that case, I feel an election was appropriate. 2 years is a long time to appoint somebody to fill a role. I feel that's an appropriate situation where the people have their say, whether or not they choose to come out. I hope that this is maybe something that could be considered, that maybe rather than going forward with just an either or black or white proposal, something could be done to take in both sides of consideration. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wanting to give testimony in opposition?
Good evening, members of the board, President Wilshire. My name is David Lyle. I am a resident of Ward 8, a former state representative for the New Hampshire General Court. Similar to my father's proposal, I believe that proposing an appointment to, by the mayor to be confirmed by the Board of Aldermen would provide a significant check to the balance of the system, and that keeping with that, having them only serve until the next regularly scheduled election would provide a cost-saving measure to special elections and allow the person, should they wish to continue in the position, be able to be properly vetted by the city or the residents of the city, and at the same time would also provide, again, cost-saving measure of reducing the amount of special elections and would allow the person who runs in that election to serve out the balance of the term after the election at the next regular election. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to give testimony in opposition to Resolution 18073? Again, I will call for testimony in favor of Resolution 18073. Seeing none, we'll call the public hearing closed. Do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion before us is to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and we are adjourned at 7:25. Thank you.